So the second example I'd like to look at is in the converting from standard form to vertex form by using that completing the square method, is when there's a negative out in front. In other words, when there's a reflection over the x-axis. Okay. So first of all, that negative out in front complicates things because that just makes it so that that leading term is not a perfect square either, because it can't be negative and be a perfect square. But I still start off the exact same way. So step one is I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this 31. I just don't want to have to deal with that too. So I move that over to the other side just to get it out of the way for now. Remember, we deal with it later. But I moved it out of the way, so it's on the other side now. Okay, and now when I look at what's left over, on the other side I have negative x squared minus 10x. Okay, and then I think, okay, well, I know in order to make this a perfect square trinomial, this is going to have to start off with x squared, not negative x squared. So I'm going to factor out a negative or a negative 1, if you'd rather think about it like that. So when I factor out a negative 1 out of both of these, remember what's happening is I'm dividing by negative 1. That's going to make this an x squared and then plus 10x, right? So over here on this side, I still have that f of x minus 31. But now I'm going to figure out what do I have to add to make this perfect square. And remember, I'm just looking at only this part right here. I'm just saying, what would make that a perfect square, right? So in order to figure out what would make that a perfect square, I'm going to take the middle term, which is 10. I'm going to divide it by 2, and I'm going to square what I get, right? So that's 5 divided by 2 is 25. So I'm going to be adding 25 here to make that a perfect square in there. But what I really just added was negative 1 times 25, which is negative 25. So that's actually what I'm going to add to the other side, because I got to keep it in balance, right? So I'm adding negative 25 on one side. I have to add negative 25 on the other. Okay, I don't know if these are going to turn out to be very nice numbers because I just made them up. So, but anyway, so now when I go to factor this, again, you can either put that as a negative 1 or just a negative. And then when I factor this, this is going to factor into an x to start, a 5 to end. Sign comes from the middle term, and then squared, because there's 2 of them, right? And then on this side, when I put my like terms together, that adds up to negative 56. And so I know to get it to the other side, I'm going to add 56. Right, and that leaves me with a vertex form of negative x plus 5 squared plus 56. Now my vertex is negative 5, positive 56. So this thing is reflected over the x-axis and then slid 5 units left and 56 units up. So that's example 2.